Welcome to Mornings with the Mayor. Boy, do we have a great surprise for you today, a great show. We're going to talk about events that will be happening here in Bensalem over the next year. It's a very, very important show. I hope everybody listens. It's all about a historical landmark here in Bensalem. And we're going to talk about that landmark. It's the Bensalem AME Church on Bridgewater Road. And let me introduce my guest to you. On my far right would be Pastor Jones, who is pastor of that church. And
good morning.
Good morning. Good morning, and good to be with you, Pastor. And to my immediate left is Joe Slemmer, and Joe has been in Bensalem most of his life, is a veteran. We'll talk about some of those things. And Joe is also the chairman of our Bensalem Veterans Advisory Board. And next to me, needs no introduction, is Ed Kiseslback, who's been on council for many years. Ed, welcome, and we're going to talk to him. Ed Kiseslback is actually chairing this program and leading the way with the rest of council, but Ed is the one that brought it to the table, and we're all very, very happy to work as a team with Ed to get this accomplished, and we'll talk about our accomplishment. Ed, why don't you start out?
Good morning, Mr. Mayor, and thank you for having me here.
Good to be with you.
Only took 20 years, but here I am. Thank you very much. Well, let me relay the story, I think, which is pretty interesting, how this all began. Juanita Whitted had talked to me at the senior center, where I'm there quite often. She said to me, well, listen, Ed, can you help us with our church, because we have a problem with this, and we'd like to get our church restored. And I was hesitant initially in the beginning because I thought we have a little problem with the separation of the church and state, so I don't know if I could be involved with it. But I went to the mayor and I said, Joe, hey, what do you think we can do, Joe? You think we can fix this? And he said, well, of course. He said, I said, it needs to be painted. And he said, I'll go out and do it. I'll pay for the paint. I'll get my buddies from the union to go out and get it all restored, get it painted, look really nice. I didn't go. I only drove by the church. I didn't actually go into the grounds. But the mayor said, I'm going to go over and look at it. So he called me back in about a half an hour and said, quote, are you nuts? This needs more than paint. There's nothing to paint. There's gigantic holes in there. And so we looked at the whole situation, and then looking at that, we finally formed, which was the Bensalem Heritage Foundation, which is quite a few people that are working on that, helping us out, because we're really surprised. I was surprised how many organizations, how many individuals really jumped on board to give us a hand. I mean, we had Parks Casino, who's giving us a hand, Home Depot, Habitat for Humanity. Our social organizations in Bensalem are certainly helping us out. The Bucks County Chamber of Commerce on board with us, B3T, the Lions, the Kiwanis, the Rotary. This is just to name a few. We've had a number of meetings, and we've we've estimated the cost for the repairs, as you know, to be in the area of $200,000, probably about $210,000. We're going to be having, and the mayor will be talking about this in a moment, we're going to have a breakfast meeting to invite some contributors, some people who are interested in the historic value of this edifice. And that's the thing that's really remarkable to me. What happened is I got involved with this just because someone asked me to do it. And now it's become, as I said to the mayor earlier, it's become really a labor of love where we're all working together. And I'm going to just let it go at that. I'll talk a little bit later on different things that we're doing and how we're approaching it. But I'm going to turn the microphone back to the mayor.
Let's go to Pastor Jones. Pastor Jones, tell us about the church. We all know the history. We've learned so much about it.
Yes.
So why don't you bring us up to date on exactly where the church, when it started, and how important
definitely.
it is.
Oh, well, one of the things, we're excited. Thank you, Mayor, for just allowing us to be here today. And we're just excited about the whole process that has happened. We know that Bensalem AME Church, which stands for African Methodist Episcopal Church. Our founder is Leroy Allen, which the original church is in Philadelphia at 6th and Lombard. But one of the things that here at Bensalem, we feel that we're a jewel in the midst of all that here in Bensalem because we're 196 years old. This year we will be 197. The church was started in August 12th, 1818 by 4 slave families that came in the midst. And it's interesting how all of this happened, that they were determined to worship God under the freedom of worship. And so because of that, we were just excited that when we were, Mr. Kiseslback came, Councilman Kiseslback came today, and you did come and help us. We are here there, and our church, we would like not for it just to be a museum, but a place where others can come and know that we still can worship. We consider ourselves a light on the side of the road. Leroy Allen, being the Civil War veteran that is there, he was 101 years old. And I just feel that Bensalem AME Church has something to contribute. It's not just for us, but also for the whole township.
Yeah, Pastor, and we talk about that all the time. And as Ed said, we have a Bensalem Heritage Foundation that would work on many things. And certainly this is the first one, Ed, that we're going to use the Heritage Foundation to kind of get up and get this jewel running.
I agree. I agree. I think it's a worthwhile cause. I think it's something that we can pass on to our children, our grandchildren, the history of Bensalem, yes. Especially this edifice, historically as it is, was certainly a focal point for the Underground Railroad. Right. And that was extremely important, and the Purvis family were part of that. I got this information from the Historic Society that we have here, which is very active. Walter Arch was a big help to me in terms of procuring the information, and we have verified this information, so it's factual. So we know this was part of our history to be shared with our children and grandchildren, and it would be such a shame if, in fact, it would just fade away.
That'll never happen. Not going to let that happen.
And so that's been our goal, that knowing that this is something that we categorically want to make sure that it's part of Bensalem forever.
Well, I'm going to come over and talk to Joe Slemmer. Joe, I'm sure a lot of people in Bensalem know you. You've been here a long time. And being a veteran, working on the advisory board, which we're so grateful for all the work your board's doing, I know you're taking a big part of this also. You've done work there already. You have more work that's going to be done. And you have a date coming up where we're going to honor Leroy Allen. So why don't you tell us all about that?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. It is truly an honor to not only be on the advisory board, but to be a citizen and to live here. There is so much history, as this group here has pointed out very earlier, and a lot of us don't know the history. There's so many things. The cemeteries in particular, some are hidden. Way back in Glen Ashton Farms, there's a beautiful cemetery on the back street off Ashton Road, and it's well taken care of. There's another one on Galloway Road, Christ Cemetery, and of course we have the one here with the African American Methodist Church, the Episcopalian Church. And that's what we're here for today, to discuss 2 events that are coming up. We have the reenactors coming on April 25th and 26th to the Neshaminy State Park, and they are going to have 2 days of reenacting the battles surrounding the Oak Ridge Battle. And they do this every year, and it's just a fabulous show. There will be so much excitement for the old and the new. The young people, they're going to go away from there saying how fabulous it was. Just for example, there'll be officers in their military uniforms from both sides. There'll be troops, horses, cannon and musket fire, campsites that they will stay in and cook and sleep off the battlefield site. And this will go on for 2 days. And it's just fabulous when you are right there just a few feet from the charges, the shooting, and the narration of the battle. And I guarantee you, if they've never been there, you will come away and say, that was fantastic. Now, in addition to that, one of the most important highlights of that weekend is that on Sunday morning of April 26th at 10 a.m., there will be a ceremony consisting of reenactors and veterans of all wars, honoring a Civil War veteran named Leroy Allen, who was buried in the cemetery of the Bensalem African Methodist Episcopal Church at 1200 Bridgewater Road in Bensalem. Now, Mr. Allen, prior to the war that he served in, was a slave living in Virginia. And he dangerously traveled north to join the Union Army. Fortunate for him, he survived the war and lived to the age of 101 years. God bless Mr. Allen. He and his wife are buried in the churchyard, and if he were alive today, no one could better say, freedom is not free.
Nicely done.
Please come out with friends and family to participate in both of these great events. The theme of the event at the cemetery is Veterans Honoring Veterans. So do your best to be there. I'll be there. Mayor will be there. Council will be there. And we look forward to seeing everybody there to honor Leroy Allen. Thank you.
Thanks, Joe. I think I want you to touch on something that you've already done out there, a cleanup, and you had volunteers. I want you to touch on that quick.
Okay, when we first, the Veterans Advisory Board meets the third Thursday of every month, and back in last July, Joe Trucks, a member of the board, suggested we do something for the gentleman that's buried over at the churchyard. And we agreed that would be a good project. Let's work on it. So the following weekend, I went over to the church just prior to their church ceremony on 11 o'clock, introduced myself, and asked permission if we could honor Leroy Allen. And they said, absolutely, it would be wonderful. However, we're a little embarrassed about our cemetery. We're only a congregation of 6, and funds are not there to do a lot of primping and cleaning and all. I said, well, tell me what you want done. And it turned out that we were able to recruit many Boy Scouts, their parents, some young ladies as young as 11 and 12 years old who came with their parents. We had a landscaper, we had another contractor, the advisory board showed, and they cleaned that graveyard spick and span. They got rid of all the debris, the branches, any trash, plastic bottles, etc., was separated from the organic stuff. And the mayor, God bless him, had Public Works. God bless him. He took care of all those leaves and branches and whatever and had them trucked away. And the clergy and the members of the church, they served a beautiful lunch. Everybody had sodas and cakes and hot sandwiches. It was just fabulous, the appreciation they showed to the members of the community. That's who was there, not just the advisory board. The community turned out.
And they did a beautiful job, Joe.
They did.
And the other thing is, and it hasn't been done yet, but your committee is also putting all new crosses.
Yes, we were able to secure a donator up at the tech school. Students are working diligently to provide enough crosses, and they will be in place, freshly painted, brand new, by
The 26th.
The 26th of April.
Good. And I know that you'll be involved through this whole year or two, whatever it takes us to get it done, you and the board. And we appreciate that, Joe, very, very much.
Thank you, Mayor.
And why don't you go back and start talking about a couple events that are coming up, very important events.
Well,
He talked about the 26th.
Well, let me touch base on one thing, first of all,
Go ahead.
and that is as involved as our Veterans Association is with this project, that's only one aspect of the entire picture. I mean, we have so many people involved. Home Depot, they came along, they volunteered to have some of their employees come out and shored up the church throughout the winter months so it wouldn't disintegrate or just fall down on us with the harsh winter that we had.
Yes.
The mayor actually donated the materials and have donated a considerable amount of money to the project to start us out because we needed seed money to start things. So I would like to just mention that to you. We thank you for that. I understand. That's why I'm not mentioning the amount, but what you did for us, you did for us. Exactly. And I think the mayor kind of touched base on a few of the dates. The most important date that we're having is going to be on June the 4th. It's going to be a breakfast. And again, it's we're inviting a number of people to this, corporations, organizations, to see if they're interested in a financial way to help us reach our goal of $210,000. The thing that we were just talking about with Leroy Allen, that was just discovered by us. Of course, the church knew about it, but discovered through Bensalem, just from us getting involved with the activity. I'm sure there's a few other things we're going to learn about the church itself. There was as you know, there was a secret hatch in the ceiling that kept the runaway slaves on the Underground Railroad, I should say, kept them safe until they could escape from the plight.
Exactly.
And that's all part of it there, of what's happening. But June the 4th is probably the most important date, as well, because if you don't have the money to do it, you can't do anything. Mm-hmm. And so we have some professional organizations that are actually helping us out in terms of doing it in a professional way. So we invite the right people in the organizations, and we're going to make a presentation to everyone, making them aware of what we're doing and how we're doing it. And what other dates did you have in mind, Joe? Of course,
Well,
we have we're going to have the anniversary of the actual Mother Church, Mother Bethel, and that's going to be in 200 years. And that's basically the itinerary. That's our date. We're hoping to have everything complete. So we have a target date, which I think is important because that way we believe we're going to have it finished by that time. And as I said, the people, it's just unbelievable how all our social or our organizations in Bensalem, how the volunteers, we can't keep up the amount of people that are just saying, let me help you out, let me contribute to you, let me give you my time, because I think this is going to really be great for all of us.
And I think that is one of the things that is significant with this whole project, that when in a time in the world is so upside down, that this project has served as a example that people can come together with love. And we have had students from elementary all the way up to college that have participated in this project. And when they come, they feel that not only they're just contributing just to the church, but they're contributing to an effort of remembering that these are dreams of others. It is always important for us to know, before there was television and Facebook and all of that, we told stories, and our forefathers told stories. So as we honor Leroy Allen and all of those others that are deceased there in the cemetery, we want to think that we're standing on their shoulders, then telling others that God is good, but not only God is good, but there's unity in everything that we do. That is why when the slaves were able to escape through the Underground Railroad, they had help of a community. So we are just excited just to be part and to host not only Leroy Allen, but all of the veterans as we honor those that fought for us.
Yeah, Ed, I think you wanted to mention something. You should bring that up.
Yeah,
another important part.
I had mentioned this too. We have the Bucks County Tourist Center that's very much interested in this project because they believe it's going to be a tourist attraction that many people would want to come and visit and see, especially when they if they're going into the Philadelphia area and going in. And when they come into Bucks County to come up right 95 to be here, we're so located so easily for everyone to stop in and see this beautiful edifice. And the thing that was amazing to me, and is the size of it is small. It is small, but I remember when I was younger and I learned about Valley Forge and how wonderful and how the Revolutionary War, and I went to visit the park, which is of course gigantic, and I saw how small these huts where they actually spent the winter. I said, wow, they had to squeeze down and squeeze in because it was small. And so I think this church can, I think at the max would hold about, I'm going to say 75 people, but
Yes.
that's about what I say. But it's beautiful. It's really quite nice. It's really quaint.
And Councilman, one of the things we want to let you know that why we are excited about this also is, as you said before, next year the AME Church will be celebrating and our general conference, which will bring at least 45,000 people to Philadelphia. And by Bensalem we are a connected church, and by us being one of their babies, we would like, when they come to the convention center in Philadelphia, to make sure they step by Bensalem.
Yeah, and we're going to make sure of that.
Oh, yeah.
Because we have a long history. Bensalem's 23 years.
Yes.
323 years old. So,
We're excited about that.
I can't believe since the tricentennial, 23 years.
Really?
But it did.
That's right. It is. 23.
Pastor, I'm going to give you next to the last word. So if you want to add anything now, we're coming towards the end of the show. Anything you want to add?
Oh, first I would like to also say thank you, Mayor and Bensalem and the Veterans Administration, and definitely Congressman Kiseslback, for just...
Boy, we'll never get him back now.
Close enough.
Close enough.
Just for listening to our dreams, hearing our prayers. It was from we have a saying in our church, when the praises go up, the blessings come down. So we were praying and asking God to send a way, and we thank God that He sent you both our way so that this dream can be accomplished.
Well, Pastor, thank you. We look forward to working with you in the future. And Joe, do you want to add something quickly?
Yes, I neglected to say, Mr. Mayor, that on the 26th at 10 a.m. there'll be ample parking at the school across the street, so that'll be taken care of. The police department is going to shut Bridgewater down for through traffic, so it's going to be very nice and secure. And the other thing I wanted to mention, the Bensalem Township Veterans Advisory Board is there for any veteran that has a problem. Contact us and we will try to steer you in the right direction or do the solving ourselves if we can. But we have plenty of contacts to help anybody that needs help.
Glad you
Thank
brought
you.
that up, Joe. That's your charge, and you guys are doing a great job, really. I mean that sincerely. So
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
You got the last word.
Well, thank you, Mr. Mayor. What I'd like to add is that Bensalem has received many, many laudits, and the last has been one of the 50 places where you want to raise your family. And this is the reason why, in the country, exactly right. We went from 100th to where you want to raise your family in the country. We've been also received from the Curry Times the laudits of America's
Model.
the model for America. And the reason is because of the mayor and council.
People.
We work together, we go to the people and we ask them what they want, and we could not have done this, and I couldn't have done this without the help of my council members, because we all work together whenever we do a project. I'm in the forefront of this project, but believe me, my fellow councilmen are step by step with me, helping me out, suggesting things, and working diligently on this project, and I thank them because we just work together, all together, and of course the mayor being the major part of what's happening. And so Bensalem is a community where, I've said this a number of times, it's almost like a small city, but we always maintain that township community feeling and love for the township, and that's what makes us different. And the volunteers we have is just astounding to me, how many people constantly want to help and do things, and our advisory boards are wonderful, and the Veterans Advisory Board is really taken
Yes.
a hold onto this, and we thank you
Definitely.
ever so much for what you're doing and helping
Yes.
us, and the church is helping us as far as what we're doing. And in one sentence, Bensalem is the best.
Thank you.
I agree with that. And by the way, we never mentioned, but we're 47th actually out of the first 50. So-
Excellent.
and climbing. We were one best of 100. Now we're 47th, and we'll get there. We'll be number one day. I always said nobody gets anything done by themselves. Teams win. Teams stay together. We have a phenomenal team here in Bensalem. So you watch the show. Stay tuned for when these different dates come up. I hope you'll be involved in any way you can, any little thing you can do. We appreciate it. The volunteers have been so well to us since I've been here in Bensalem doing the things that we've been doing. For many years, I was a volunteer. Incredible. Thanks for making our community what it is. Until next time, everybody, God bless.
We love Wednesdays at the TDBA.
This is truly one of the best venues that we've ever played.
We love it here. The crowd is fantastic.
Great sound, great crew.
You know, it's beautiful.
This is awesome. We love being here.
That roof that's kind of domed and stuff is the coolest thing I've ever seen.
Great people here to work with, and we're going to rock it out.
We love Wednesdays at the TDBA.